And we're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call of the Alcohol, only on the LastCallPodcast.com. And joining me here on location, once again, it was a wild night of UFC fights. And what do we have here? We need a guy who's going to break down everything, tell us what happened, what goes on, and drops some truth bombs in the way. I give you once again the MMA insider aficionado and all round soothsayer. I give you Marcel Dorff from Eurosport UFC and MMA Oddsbreaker podcast. So, Marcel, let's start off here. Alexander the Great, once again, unanimous decision victory. Diego Lopes. I hate saying this because I feel dirty, but is he now the best featherweight champion in the history of a division? Even better than, dare I say, Jose Aldo.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's difficult, man. I think if you were there during Aldo's reign, I still have difficulty to say Volkanovski's reign is better. I understand that people say that. So, like I said last time already, like I have no problem if you have Volkanovski above Aldo. It's possible. But for me, it's still Aldo. Aldo was undefeated for a long time, was untouchable until he got finally finished but by Connor, but he was untouchable for a very, very long time. So um, and Volkanovski never had that untouchability over him, although he is very good. And I would say Aldo is greater, but Volkanovski is better. Maybe that's the better way to put it. Um, but yeah, what can you say, man? Volkanovski is top class, amazing fighter. Amazing fighter.
I mean, I get it. He's not the dominant in terms of like finisher. He's not Aldo who's going to just wreck you within 2 or 3 rounds. But again, like we saw with Diego Lopes, and Lopez has just murked people, and he just picked them apart, took his time, and anytime you felt like Lopez was getting some momentum, he just had an answer. So again, it's like I get it. He's not the dominant guy. He's a small little Aussie we sort of make fun of, but again, I mean, you look, it's like who's going to beat him in this division? Who do you see like right now who can actually like conquer him?
I mean, for me, it's pretty obvious that Mopsar is a guy who is stylistically a difficult opponent for him. I don't say that he will clearly lose to Mopsar. I absolutely won't say that, but he is stylistically the most difficult opponent for him of the way he fights, the way he moves on the ground. I know a lot of people don't like Mopsar because he doesn't finish fights, but the guy is world class. I don't want to see that fight against Volkanovski, although we probably see Avloev against Murphy first. So, yeah, I mean, all credit to Volk. Volk is amazing. I didn't agree, by the way, with the scorecards, man. I had a 3-2 for Volk. I didn't have a 5-0 or 4-1. 4-1 is maybe possible. 5-0 is atrocious in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, but great showing by Volkanovski. He's a great fighter. I mean, I don't even have to say that. Everybody see that. Everybody knows that. And yeah, all credit to him. He's not the youngest anymore, but he still looks great, and he's still I mean, he still can match up with the young guys in the sport. So yeah, guy's a generational great in my opinion.
Where does Diego Lopez go from here? Because he's sort of,
Yeah,
as you said, he's stuck like Max Holloway.
it's it's easy and difficult at the same. In my opinion, the UFC should have never done the rematch, because definitely also for Diego, because two losses now against the champ, he won't be touching any championship fight until Volk is left the division probably, which can be in 1 or 2 years maybe, or even quicker. So maybe it's not that bad, but at the same time, I think now it's the time to book Yair against Diego. Book that fight for later this year in Mexico. That's the fight, I think. You can make that fight headline a fight night card for sure. That's the fight you can do now. That's the fight they should have done in the first place. Diego against Yair. Both guys don't like each other at all. You got the Mexican guy against the Brazilian guy who's been adopted by the Mexican people. I mean, that's the fight to make. So, but yeah, for if it goes to title aspiration, as long as Volkanovski is the champion, Diego won't touch any gold, I think. So, yeah.
This man here is one bad ass fighter. Benoit Saint Denis. I mean, you keep thinking, okay, well, something's going to give, and yet his destruction over Mauricio Ruffy, the destruction of now Dan Hooker. I mean, God damn it! Every time you think we have something on this guy, it's just he keeps just steamrolling over people. Is it safe to say that he's a top five fighter in this division?
I'm still on the fence with that, man, and I'll tell you why. I think he's super talented. I think he's really good, but I wasn't that impressed, to be honest, by him until the finish. Don't get me wrong, the finish was amazing. He looked really good at that point. But the first round, he started really hesitant, in my opinion. He was pressuring, but Hooker was landing. And the ground, listen, his ground game is good. We all know that. And I think Hooker made a massive mistake in the second round where he had the momentum, in my opinion. But he started to wrestle with Benoit. And I was like, dude, Benoit is going to easily beat you on the ground if you started wrestling with him, because I was like striking, Hooker can match up with him, you know. Yeah, and he tried to get Benoit to the ground, and then Benoit reversed him, and he started to go for that choke, which was very close to being to tap, which he didn't do. And then Benoit was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'm not going to choke him out. Let's uh, let's carve his head in with my elbows and with my punches." So I mean, great finish by him, but I felt like I felt like Benoit's a better fighter overall, but I really felt like Dan Hooker gave that fight away, man, in the second round. I was like, dude, don't. Why would you initiate a grappling with a guy like Benoit Saint Denis, where his grappling is clearly his thing, you know? But I mean, great win for Benoit. You know, I mean, if you have to finish somebody like that, or you finish somebody like that, is great. Herb Dean, yeah, I mean, was he late with the stoppage a little bit? I also felt like a lot of the punches didn't land on the arms of Hooker. So, but Hooker wasn't really replying anymore. So it was a good stoppage, I think. And a little bit late maybe, but hey, I don't want to be a complainer about everything. But overall, it was a fun fight. Also, I want to say like. I don't know why Diego Lopes against Alexander Volkanovski got the fight of the night from the UFC, because I don't think that was the best fight on the card, to be honest.
So where does Benoit Saint Denis go from here? I'm going to suggest something you're not going to like it probably.
Mhm.
Give him the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. I was tempted to say Armin Sarukian, but I know that Armin's just going to wait out until he can get that title shot. So look, Saint Denis deserves something big. He called out for something big, including a world title shot. So yeah,
I
let's.
mean, I don't mind that, to be honest at all. You know, I mean, the Armin fight, I'm not that interested in it, to be really honest. You know, he asked for the winner of Oliveira against Holloway. I mean, even the loser of that fight is a possibility. You know, so yeah, one of the two. I'm good with that. I have no problem with it. I think Benoit deserves to step up in competition, but at the same time, man, I mean. I think Hooker did look pretty decent against him. And I'm not listen. I'm never like high on Hooker, but it sounds kind of funny, not high on Hooker. But I mean, I wasn't that impressed in the fight. The finish was great, you know. But can he match up with a guy like a Max Holloway or a Charles Oliveira? It's interesting for sure, you know. How is his ground game will fare against Charles Oliveira? How his striking will fare against Max Holloway? I'm good with either one, man. Also, like if they don't win, if they lose, also good, no problem, you know. One of those two makes sense to me. All good.
Where does Dan Hooker go from here? Because
Easiest
it's
matchup. Easiest matchup, Chris.
uh-oh,
Paddy
what's the
Pimblett.
easiest matchup?
Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett, then Hooker. Both guys don't like each other. It writes itself. That's the matchup to make. Make that fight a fight night main event. Easiest matchup to make for the UFC.
All right. Well, speaking of easy matchups,
Hmm.
I didn't think this was possible. I thought this was going to be Rafael Fiziev drawing, Mauricio Ruffy into deep water and just making him drown. But, well, what can you say? Mauricio Ruffy with the second round knockout over Rafael Fiziev. I mean, this was just an ass whooping. I mean, is it safe to say now that Hey, this Ruffy kid is learning. He's getting there, but he is learning.
So I completely disagree that it was an ass whooping, to be really honest, man. I thought VCF looked really good in the fight, and I felt like I think two judges scored the first round for Ruffy. I think they were drunk or they were a bunch of retards because I think VCF won the first round. I think he looked pretty decent in the second round. I felt Ruffy was really tentative. He did try pretty good with countering, but he was really tentative. And the first really good punch he landed, he wobbled Fiziev with it, and then you see he has that killer instinct. He sees your wobbly, your tag, and he goes for the finish and he gets the finish. So he's like a really dangerous, lethal guy. Who can change the fight, in my opinion, with one shot. And that shot was beautifully placed. Um, I think it's an amazing win for Ruffy. After losing to Benoit Saint Denis, coming back, beating Fiziev, finishing Fiziev. Fiziev is a really good, underrated guy in my opinion. So big win for Ruffy, man. Yeah, really good win in my opinion. And UFC can go either way with it, whatever they want. It's an interesting guy, but I still not convinced in the grappling of Ruffy. I need to see more because all these guys are striking with him. You saw Benoit, he grappled with him, and Ruffy had really many troubles with the grappling. And people forgetting, man, the Dana White Contender Series fight against Raymond Magomedaliev, Ruffy only won that fight because Raymond Magomedaliev was completely gassed after 2.5 rounds. But he was losing the first couple of minutes because of the grappling. So I'm still not convinced that Ruffy can go all the way. But if they keep giving him strikers, yeah, he's very lethal, very good. So got to give him credit for that.
So who do you? All right. So who do you give in Mauricio Ruffy? I mean, I'm gonna put you in the driver's seat. You are the matchmaker here. Give me who the UFC should put Ruffy in against next.
So I mean, I saw people saying that he should fight Paddy Pimblett. Obviously, the UFC is not going to do that. So they're going to look who's above him and who is an interesting striker, for example. He will probably come into the top 10 because Fiziev is number 9. Um, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, for example, Dan Hooker. While they can do Hooker Pimblett, Dan Hooker is also a guy who wants to keep striking, as you know. You know, so and maybe even do Arman Sarukian. Don't be surprised if they do that. Because they don't like Arman. They love Ruffy. And Arman doesn't have an opponent right now. Don't be surprised if they make Arman against Ruffy. I see them doing it because the UFC has this sleazeball ways, to get their favorites on top of the division. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they do that. Actually, now I'm talking about it. That's what the UFC is going to do. Ahmed Saruki and Mauricio Ruffy. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. I'm not for it, but that's what they're going to do.
Meanwhile, Rafael Fiziev, you love the guy, but he takes too much damage. You're sitting there, it's like, God damn it, every fight it's just almost like a war. And look,
Mhm.
I have I enjoy this guy, but after the Rufi fight, after Ignacio Bahamondes, Justin Gaethje twice, Mateus Gamrot, Rafael dos Anjos, like at what point are you sitting there with Fiziev and going, this might be the end? Like he's 4 losses out of his last 5 fights, this one by knockout. Like, is this the end for him?
No, I don't think it's the end, man. If you look at who he lost twice to Justin Gaethje, which is not a bad loss at all. That was a competitive fight. The Ruffy fight here, he didn't look bad at all, in my opinion. It was also a pretty competitive fight until he got finished. Give him Michael Chandler. I mean, why not? That's a winnable fight for Fiziev, I feel like. And Michael Chandler is out of it already, in my opinion. So I would do that. Give Fiziev Michael Chandler. It's a fun fight for the fans as well. You either can do Fiziev against Darius, but I think that will be a little bit too one-sided probably. But I'd say Fiziev against Chandler. That's a good fight. He's fighting down. Chandler gets another fight up, I know, but still, it's a fun fight nonetheless. And it's interesting to see, I think. Or you have to put Fiziev against somebody outside the rankings, but he did that in his last fight against Bahamondes, and he pretty decisively beat Bahamondes. So I don't know. Maybe Manuel Torres is a possibility as well, number 13 in the division, doing very well. That's a possibility, I think. But if I have to choose, I do Fiziev Chandler.
Okay. First two rounds of this fight sucked. I will admit that. It was, as you call it, like two beached whales just laying on each other. And yes, I understand. Tai Tuivasa is not Mr. Adonis. But god damn it, that third round was fun, Marcel. That was everything MMA fans love. I get it. It's sort of like, a chili cheese dog with extra toppings, hot sauce, and a beer and cheese fries. It's not good for you, but god damn, it's so damn fun. That third round, the crowd was into it. Tui was out of shape and rocking on Teixeira. Teixeira was out of breath and trying to hang on. If this doesn't make you love heavyweight MMA, you have no soul. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you have no soul.
As much as I like Tai Tuivasa as a person, absolute pathetic showing by both guys. Absolute pathetic showing. Um, I mean, thank God for Teixeira. And I say not that I wanted to see that, but thank God for him. He got some fight IQ, because he took Tai to the ground in the first two rounds, and Tai is like really absolutely horrible on the ground, so he didn't know what he could do to get him off him. So that's why he lost to Sarah in the first two rounds. Third round, both guys were gassed. Ty had every opportunity to finish Teixeira, but he was so gassed that he couldn't put some combos together. He didn't have the power anymore to put Teixeira away. Dreadful fight, man. And the thing is, like, if Ty would have been a little bit more in shape, he would have put Teixeira away in the third round, because Teixeira was completely out of it. Also, very bad cardio, typical heavyweight fight. UFC should get rid of that division, to be honest, man, but they won't. Uh, Horrible
Again,
fight.
Marcel, I love you, but you have no soul. It's
Yeah,
almost like
probably.
you sit there and you go like, yeah, let's get rid of all my heavyweights, but let's have more flyweights and bantamweights, guys who will just do like a thousand feints and like rolls and no knockouts. Screw that. You need to have, I don't know, Marcel. Maybe you need to like hang out with like a puppy, go see the arts, have a baby, something to give you a soul. Because god damn it, again, you gotta find a way to keep tied to Ivas. I've changed my mind. He deserves another chance. And yes, I know this is his sixth straight loss. But just make it a fun fight. Give him fun fights. The crowd was on its feet. So again, I'm gonna put you in the spot. We're gonna try this again. Who should Tellson to Sarah fight next? Who should Tui Tuivasa fight next? Sorry, Tai
Well,
Tuivasa.
Talison Teixeira, he can fight. Who can we put Talison Teixeira against? Well, let him fight Shamil Gaziev. Why not? You got like the guy, the Russian Bahrain guy who's doing pretty okay in the UFC against Teixeira, who's now 2-1, which I don't have really high hope for. Tai Tuivasa, listen, I like the guy, but Tai shouldn't fight anymore, I think, But at the same time, he's a fan favorite. People love to see him fight. Who am I to say that he shouldn't fight anymore in the UFC? Match him up with somebody who wants to strike, I would say, I don't really need to see him in the ranking anymore because I think he hasn't won for like 4 or 5 years or whatever, a long time ago at least. But I don't mind him. Keep him around. Let him fight somebody who wants to stand and bang. I don't have a name for you, man. To be really honest, we don't need to see a rematch with Derek Lewis. But yeah, give him somebody who wants to strike and bang.
I was thinking about that. Why not? Lewis versus tied to UFC White House. It'll make people feel better. Marcel, I know that you're one of those. This way you can go to and sit there at ringside with Robert Kennedy and go, look at those guys. And you can be, this may be your chance to go, we need to get rid of the heavyweights. Look at them. You're in shape, Robert. They look like two Chubba Chubs. We need to get rid of Chubba Chubs. See, this is your master plan to get rid of the heavyweight division. We make Lewis versus Tai 2. You sit ringside, talk to the, Robert F. Kennedy, the health organization guy we have here, and go, look, You need to get rid of the heavyweights because of that. That alone, Robert. Do it.
I mean, I want to see Lewis fighting Hockett. That's the fight I want to see. That's the fight I made for the White House card. You know what I mean? So, um, and like I said, I don't mind remaining in the UFC fighting, but I don't see any improvements, dude. That's a problem. I don't see any improvement, and it's just like he's a fan favorite. People love the guy. I like the guy a lot as well, you know. But there is just no improvement. I mean, what do you want, you know?
Well, if you want, this guy definitely showed improvement. That's right. The legend continues of Quillen Salkhild, improved to 11-1 with a beautiful lateral drop takedown into a face crank submission in 3 minutes 2 seconds of the first round. You're trying not to just rush the kid because I get it. He only has 12 fights, but damn, he is as smooth as butter, Marcel. When this guy transitions to side to top to back control, man, you're in trouble. It's just count yourself out. He's going to get that submission.
I mean, the guy was what a -1,000 favorite against Malarkey. I expected him to get the finish, dude. I mean, I was surprised that Jamie was able to get him to the ground. I was like, what are we having here, you know? But at the same time, he was up in the seconds and actually took his back. Um, Dude is super talented, man. And I'm gonna be honest. I have my podcast with Adam, and when he got signed by the Contender Series to fighting, I think he beat Gage Young when he got signed. I was like, I'm not that impressed to be really honest. You know, I don't think he's that amazing. He's decent, but I wouldn't have gave him a contract that night. And damn, he proved me wrong so far. You know, in the UFC, he he got a great quick knockout win over Anshul Jubilee. He got a win over I forgot his Ashmus, Yanal Ashmus. Then he got the knockout over Hakparas and now a quick finish over Malarkey. He's looked good. Give him a step up in competition. He's a guy who deserves a step up in competition, I think. Um, and he actually he's at lightweight, right? So this is actually a fun matchup too. You know what? Why not against Fiziev? You know, or do I go too quick here? What do you think?
I like that. I'll just think a little bit step down, like him versus King Green. Let's see what he can do against a guy who supposedly has good submission game, who, has been around the block and then some and knows how to, muck things up. So, what do you say? Quillen Salkhild versus Bobby Green.
I mean, Bobby Green is fighting Zellhuber, but I have no problem um, that he fights Quillen after that fight. So yeah, why not? I mean, that's like a veteran guy, you know. That's an interesting fight. Yeah, why not? I think that makes sense.
Let's quickly run down the rest of the undercard. It was a mix of some good performances, of some performances you're like, why did we see that? Let's start off here with it was Billy Elkanah versus Justin Tafa. Elkanah once again showed that he has a gas tank to go these rounds. Gets the rear naked choke submission over Tafa at 3:18 of round two. Elkanah improves to 10-2. Tafa drops to 6-5. What did you take out of that fight?
I thought Billy Elikana kind of showed a really low fight IQ, man, in my opinion. I was like, dude, why are you striking with a kickboxer who has the only possibility to win by striking? You know? And Tapa did pretty well against him striking. He even tagged him in the first round. I was like, dude, why are you keep striking with this guy? Because Tapa doesn't have a ground game, you know, and you can try to be tough, but what if he stops you? You know, that's just a bad loss. And then at a certain moment, the fight got to the ground, and then it was over. You know, the moment it hit the ground, the fight was over. And that's what everybody actually expected, you know, that Alicana would be able to get it to the ground and finish the fight, which he did. So it's a good finish. At the same time, I thought that it took some time before he did that, and I was like, dude, what are you waiting for? Listen, I'm not a professional fighter, so whoever listens to this and it's like, what is this guy talking about? Yeah, I'm a couch cunt, but I'm still having an opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, good finish for him, good win, but man, it took some time for him to understand to get that to the ground against a guy like Tafa.
Meanwhile, we had the captain himself, Jonathan McAuliffe, winning by rear naked choke, 331 into round two against Oban Elliott. Um, Again, you see the promise here. Like, when if McAuliffe gets to the ground, he's going to be trouble for people. He's pretty decent sized lightweight. They can still, gradually build him up slowly, but still, you have to like what you saw from the captain.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, gotta be honest, before the finish, I mean, Alban Elliott was really doing well. But then he got the finish. Very well done, I would say. He took the back. At the moment he took the back, he locked it in. Alban tried to get out of it. He didn't. He didn't tap. Went out. Yeah, good win for Michaela, but he didn't look good until he got him to the ground there. I thought Elliot looked pretty decent, and he kind of mocked Elliot afterwards. With doing like the celebration of Elliot over his unconscious body. That was crazy, but yeah, good win for Michaela, man. Very good win for him.
Jacob Malkoun defeated Torres Finney by unanimous decision. Double
Yeah.
heartbreak for Finney. I guess he tore his PCL during that fight. So,
Mhm.
how much you take out of that as, yeah, Matt Malkoun won pretty well, did pretty great, or, well, he took on a guy who was literally one-legged almost.
I mean, even before that moment, I felt like Malkoun was doing good. It wasn't a really eventful fight at all. I didn't expect that, to be honest. With these two were like really grappling heavy normally. Um, but overall, a good win for Malkoun, man. Yeah. What can you say about this fight? It wasn't amazing, but it was a solid win for Malkoun. Good for him after a couple of months and over a year of injuries. I'm happy the guy is back. Sucks for Torres, but he will be back probably if the UFC doesn't cut him because Dana's not a big fan, as we all know. But yeah, we'll see what happens next. But I think Malcolm looked pretty decent and good win for him, man.
Cam Roston defeated Cody Brundridge by punches
Yeah.
from back mount, 408 round two of a third round fight. Cody Brundridge can't catch a break. Yeah, I mean, look, he's as tough as they come, but again, against a much more talented fighter, it just showed like, he probably is not long for the UFC.
Yeah, man, Cody's my guy, so I don't want to talk too much shit on him, because I really like the guy. But yeah, he didn't look good in this fight, man. I thought he was really hesitant. He looked kind of, I don't want to say afraid, but he kind of looked afraid of the punches of Roaston. He was like, every time Roaston feinted, he was like heavily reacting to that. Um, he landed some good punches. I thought the first round was pretty close still, although Roaston was doing the advancing. Second round, yeah, I mean, it was over. At a certain moment, Cody couldn't defend himself anymore on the ground. Didn't do anything to improve his position. It was a good stoppage, man, by the referees. So a good showing by Roaston. 2-0 in the UFC. Has looked good so far. Actually, pretty funny that he is the guy who lost to Taurus Finney on the Contender Series, but now he's 2-0 in the UFC. So yeah, good for him, man.
And finally, in a fight which we're kind of thankful it's over now, Khan awfully defeated Yiza by majority decision. God damn, why? Look, they got as I said, this is proof of sort of UFC needs to like chop off some of these fighters and fights who just they don't belong. I mean, and I'm trying to be nice because like, everybody has their dream, and I don't like mass firings, but these are two guys who you probably could have said, yeah, you neither of you belong in the UFC right now.
To be honest, I don't know how Kyle Hoffley won that fight, man. I thought Isak clearly got the win here. I feel like that this I don't like to say rivalry, but I feel like this was like a home cooking a lot. I think Isak clearly won the fight. To be honest, he actually got a he got a 10-8 in my opinion, the second round, and He also won the third, in my opinion, and he even knocked him down in the first round. I know Kanofsky was overall better in that round, but I have no idea how Yishao lost that fight, man. But yeah, that's my take on that fight. But yeah, there are so many guys in certain divisions who you can question if it's UFC material or not. But yeah, the UFC has more quantity than quality these days. So yeah, it is what it is, man.
All right, let's go to. There's actually going to be a PFL card this weekend. I know on ESPN. Let's see if actually ESPN does something with it, but that's hopeful wishing here. It's the road to Dubai, and for those who are asking, why should we watch? Why should we care? Here's one of the few reasons even you and I can agree we should care. It is again Umar Nurmagomedov defending the PFL lightweight championship against Alfie Davis. He's one of the few guys you can look and we'll get to the welterweight championship in a second, but this is one of the few guys you can look and go, he can probably beat anybody in the UFC when he's on.
But who are we talking now?
Umar Nurmagomedov.
Uh, Usman. Yeah,
Usman Nurmagomedov.
yeah. I mean, Usman is really good. The thing is like, um, I don't know if we're gonna see him soon in the UFC, man. I think PFL really wants to keep him, and he does really well at PFL. Like you said, he's fighting Alfie Davis. Um, yeah, Usman is really good. But I think it's only he had really tough fights with Paul Hughes, but Paul Hughes is also really good. So um, yeah, it's an interesting fight, interesting main event. Alfie Davis has also been like, how do you say that? Became better. I remember him that he was like a big talent coming out of the UK. Always thought that he was pretty decent, but he has put together some really good wins, man. Clay Collard, Brent Primus, and Gachi Rabadano, three wins in a row. Really good, and looking forward to this fight, man. I think it can be a good fight.
The welterweight fight is intriguing. It's two undefeated Russians, so you got to figure out, okay, somebody's has to go. It is Ramazan Kurmagomedov, who's 13-0 and looks every part of it here, against another guy who also undefeated, Shamil Musayev. Last time we saw, Kurmagomedov, it was defeating Jason Jackson, which that itself is impressive. So, who are you looking at? Who do you like in this fight? The Silent Assassin or Kurmagomedov?
Bro, for me, Shamil Musayev. Shamil Musayev is so good, man. I fucking love watching this guy. I already was a fan of his when he was at KSW. When he came in PFL, I had like really high hope for him, and he hasn't. How do you say that?
Disappointed.
He has disappointed so far. 4 wins at PFL and wins against good competition, man. Against Logan Storley, undefeated Ramazanov twice, and then undefeated Umalatov. I mean, dude is fucking good. And no disrespect to Kuramagomedov, who's also really good, but he's more of a safer fighter, in my opinion. I want to see Messiah go all the way, man. He's so good, in my opinion. Um, I'm looking forward to this fight a lot. I think this is an amazing fight.
Rest of the main card, it's pretty damn good. I mean, for considering what PFL's gone through, it is Puya Ramani versus Carl Williams. You got a very underrated fight in Jesus Pinedo versus Salaman Uzbalayev.
Mhm.
And you got Umalatov versus the Lazy King at welterweight. I mean, for what it is, I mean, for the PFL, considering the UFC has sort of a stranglehold on a lot of fights, this isn't a bad card.
No, it's absolutely not a bad card. I think it's a pretty decent card. Like you said, you have some fun matchups on it. You have some fun in. You got Taylor Lapoulos on it, which is also a guy I really like. You got Rod Wilkinson, former champion, got on it. You got my home country girl, Denise Kielholz, on it. There's some fun fights on this card, man. I'm looking forward to it. Overall, pretty decent card. I feel like it's in Dubai, so it's pretty early over for here, which is good. It's before the UFC card probably starts, so that's good, man. We have some fun MMA coming up this weekend.
Well, speaking of the weekend,
Yeah.
We got another UFC card, but this time it's in the Apex. So, good news is, Marcel,
Hmm.
you're getting some flyweights and some bantamweights. I know that
That's
that
good.
makes you happy. The bad news is it's in the friggin' Apex Center. So, for those who dare, decide to watch this fight and stay up a bit on Paramount Plus, how much do you like the main event and the co-main event? It's Mario Batista versus Vinicius Oliveira at bantamweight. Then at flyweight, Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi.
Yeah, I mean, good fights. I would have preferred to see it switched. I think Albasi Horiguchi should have headlined, but I don't mind Batista Oliveira, which is also a fun fight. I think it's overall a pretty fun card to be in the Apex. If you look who is on the card, you got the Batista Oliveira fight, which is a fun one. You got Amir Albasi against Horiguchi. You got the Almeida Cunha fight, which is interesting. It's a heavyweight fight, but it's interesting to see how they do. Alexei Chubarrio, I think that will be 100% the finish. You got like a super talented Jan Matsumoto against Farid Basharat, who's still undefeated. It's a good fight. Jacoby Walker is, I don't know. You got the Donchenko is like the light version of Yuri Prohaska against Alex Morono. Bruna Brazil is interesting against Katlyn Souza. Said Nurmagomedov, Javid Basharat is a fight that would be normally on the Apex card, definitely on the main card. Is on a prelim. Very good fight. You got Wang Chong against Eduardo Maura, which is an interesting fight. You got the striker against the grappler. Gafurov Wiklats can go either way. And the card's open with Cachoeira Sigula. Yeah, I'm not really high on both, but yeah, one fight has to open the card. And they're still searching for a new opponent for Nikolai Veretennikov. So overall, it's a pretty good card. I think definitely if you look at the Apex, what we've seen in the Apex before, um, I'm looking forward to it, man. Definitely those fights at 135 and 125 are really good on this card, in my opinion. Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Should be a fun fight night.
So I'm gonna say something that'll probably
Yeah,
knock your socks off.
go ahead.
I am dreading the heavyweight fight. I am dreading it with all my power. And it's not because they're big, heavy set guys who, as you said, will gas out. You know these two guys, well, they're not fan-friendly fighters. They're not going to stand and bang. They're not going to throw big bombs. They're sort of very technical. So, how much after like 2 rounds are we watching Almeida and Kuniev and going, please let it end, God, please? Just double knockout. They both quit in their stools. Something to save us from this. Like, this feels like Dana might cut somebody after this fight. Maybe both if they really stink up the joint.
Yeah, fight kind of screams decision, right? Yeah, I mean Almeida's going to try to grapple and to keep it to be on top, and Kuniev is going to try to close the distance and probably also try to grapple and get the top position, maybe even strike because Almeida's striking is still not really good in my opinion. It's still nonetheless interesting fight, man. Definitely because Almeida is that highly ranked. Kuniev is not in the rankings yet. Can get in the top five by win over Almeida. It's crazy. Um, yeah, let's see what happens. But I also think it will not be very spectacular, to be honest.
You put this together, didn't you? You called your moles to, Campbell and then, hey, you really want to get rid of some fights and really want to screw around with Dana, make this fight. Make him watch it properly and have him just lose his shit and fire people. This is your evil genius way. I know your methods, Marcel. You're like, you need to get rid of heavyweights. How do I do that? I'm gonna put the two most boring heavyweights. I'm gonna call up my mole inside the UFC matchmaking office, have him make this and get Dana to look and go, I hate this division. Canceling it.
I mean, the funny thing actually is that this is not the original matchup, right? It was Kuniev against Span. Almeida took the fight on short notice, so the UFC actually should be thankful that he took the fight on short notice. But I don't know if they will be thankful after the fight, but we'll see. I don't dislike Almeida. I think he's a good dude, but his striking is just not there at all. His grappling is pretty decent, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe Kuniev can surprise, but yeah, Almeida will be a decent favorite, I guess.
How good is Daniil Donchenko? 12-2. They're pushing him up quickly. Like this will be his second UFC fight, and they're throwing him in there with Alex Moreno, who is no slouch. So, is it safe to say the UFC sees something in Donchenko that they want to really start, pushing the brakes on?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an interesting fight, definitely because like we know how Donchenko fights. He's like I said, the light version of Yuri Prohaska. He's also crazy how he fights, and got the Ultimate Fighter win. I feel like Morono is like losing some grip in the division, man. I thought he's always really durable, but this last couple of fights didn't look great anymore. So there is a possibility that Donchenko walks through him. There's also a possibility that Morono shows that he's a veteran, and he'll be able to get Donchenko into deep waters and maybe even get the win there. So that's the interesting thing about this fight. But I think the UFC is banking on that Morono looks like he did the last couple of times, and that Donchenko walks through, and that's what I think the UFC thinks going to happen, and they want that to happen. They need new stars. Donchenko looked great in his first fight in the UFC. His Ultimate Fighter finale against Rodrigo Cezinando. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But Donchenko is definitely a fighter who was fun to watch and definitely want to watch.
Jean Matsumoto versus
Yeah,
Farid Basharat. Why is this card not on a bigger event? I mean, you look and it's two guys who are combined 31 and 1. Matsumoto's only loss, you could argue, was against Rob Font in a split decision. And I remember there were some people going, no, 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 Rob Font got a gift. Matsumoto should have won that fight. So who do you
yeah.
like in that fight?
I'm one of those people who thought Matsumoto should have won that fight. The thing is, like in this fight, Farid Basharat is really grappling heavy. Matsumoto is good on the ground, but he is not that great when he is on his back. In my opinion, he can scramble, but Basharat has a really heavy top game, in my opinion, and that's a problem here. That's also why Basharat is favored, I think, in this one. Um, the thing is, like, if Matsumoto can keep it standing, which is not going to happen, I think he can definitely win this fight or get on top. But Basharat is the kind of guy who is like really good on the ground. He knows how to keep control. He knows. He knows how to control his opponent, and I feel like that Basharat is going to do that. So I would say Basharat is probably going to win here, but I wouldn't mind to see Matsumoto win because I'm really a big fan of Sean Matsumoto. So yeah,
Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker.
yeah.
I say this with love. Dustin Jacoby is kind of like a zombie fighter where you think, okay, he's finally gone. He lost two in a row, four out of his last five. And he comes back on a two-fight win streak, knocks people out. You're like, God damn it, he's back again. You can't get rid of this guy. Now he might, make some noise at light heavyweight. If he beats Julius Walker, do we start talking maybe Nikita Krylov versus Dustin Jacoby or Khalil Roundtree versus Dustin Jacoby, and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, he's in the top 15 again.
Funny thing is that I think that he actually beat Khalil Roundtree last time, and he got screwed by the judges. But I don't. I'm fully honest. I'm fully honest, dude. I
Ah,
mean, what's the fight back? No way Khalil Roundtree won that fight. But hey, it is what it is. But I mean, I don't know, man. I like Julius Walker. At the same time, I don't really rank the win over Julius Walker right now. Jacoby took the fight on short notice. He was actually supposed to fight this weekend against Jimmy Crute, right? Um, it's an okay fight. I feel like Jacoby should be able to win this fight, because he's a better fighter. At the same time, he's 11 years older than Julius Walker. I mean, will that do something here? I don't know. I don't listen. We've seen Julius Walker fight in the UFC, decent but not amazing in my opinion. And Jacoby has shown that he is like a top 15, top 20 UFC in my opinion. So he should be able to win, but at the same time, I don't know, man. At a certain moment, fighters don't have that anymore. That thing that they had normally. And he's 37. He's getting 38 soon. I don't know. We'll see, man. I don't think the UFC is going to give him a step up, to be really honest.
in a kind of interesting women's flyweight bout. You got Eduarda Moura versus Kong Wang, aka the Joker. This feels like, whoever wins this all of a sudden could sneakily get into like the top 10, top five, just because women's flyweight's sort of very volatile. Who do you like in this matchup? And if you're the UFC, who are you rooting for? The China-born Wong or Mora, who seems to be just one of these women who, hopefully now, has got her weight under control.
Bro, the UFC is heavily rooting for Wang Song to win here, man. Wang Song is like uh, a girl who they really like. Um, they're going to Macau this year. They're also going to Shanghai this year. They need her on those cards, or one of those cards. She's from she's fighting out of Shanghai, so for sure they want her to win. With Mora is all. But you can Mora almost, how do you say that, compared to Charlton Almeida, which is a training partner at the same time. I mean, also grappling heavy, trying to keep control on the ground. Can bully around smaller girls, but you saw she had trouble with the Denise Gomez in her fight. I mean, Veronica Hardy was too small to get her in trouble. And Laura Murphy, I mean, Laura Murphy, all respect to her, but Laura Murphy is a veteran and it's not in her prime anymore. So it's interesting how this fight is going to go. Listen, if Eduardo Mara can get Wang Song to the ground and control her there, she can win the fight. At the same time, if Wang Song is able to keep it striking, and Mora doesn't finish in the first 1.5, 2 rounds, there's a big chance Wang Song finishes her. So the longer the fight goes, the more chance Wang Song is going to get in this fight. But it's kind of a toss-up. I think Wang Song might be a favorite in this fight, but I feel like that it can go either way.
All right. So for the PC people who are going to be upset with me, you know what? I'm just spitting facts, so don't get upset. It's Claudia Segula versus the zombie girl Priscilla Cochera.
Yeah,
Now, I know you get upset when there's DWP mentioned, Dana White privilege.
yeah,
That's just for you. That is like the call to war. You go, God damn, why are these people? Here is the 7-2 Claudia Segula.
yeah.
She's taking on a woman who has been knocked out or finished in three out of her last four fights. Only win is against Josiane Nunez. In fact, her last fight, she got knocked out in 224. And Segula is coming off a win in her last fight. Are you upset that this might be Dana White privilege, or are you like, well, she's a very attractive woman. We need this in MMA to boost fans. I'm okay with it. I mean, is this a approved Dana White privilege for Marcel Dorff?
No, man. To be really honest, I couldn't care less about that whole fight. It's this is what we are talking about earlier. Fighters who shouldn't even probably be in the UFC, man. You got like a Cachoeira who's hit or miss. She's a fun fight, because it's either she gets finished or she finishes somebody. She lost three of the last four fights. Only got the win over Josiane Nunes. If you look at Claudia Segula, 1-on-1 in the UFC, had a horrible first showing against Melissa Mullins or Melissa Dixon, however she gets called. And yeah, she won against Irina Alekseeva, but Alekseeva might be one of the worst women to ever fought in the UFC. So I don't know what to think about this fight, dude. I mean, I think Cachoeira hits a lot harder than Segula does. And I'm not convinced on Segula, man, to be really honest. So the funny thing over here is like you got two girls who are like really like, in my opinion, no, I don't want to disrespect, but I gotta say kind of low level UFC. I think Cachoeira can knock her out. So let's see what happens. It will be interesting, but I don't really get the matchup, to be honest.
Oh, come on. This is Dana White privilege. Look, you knew that when Paige Van Zant left, Dana was like, God damn it. My PVZ, my wonderful PVZ, Don't leave. We'll figure a way out. We'll totally figure a way out. When she left, and that was probably like, God damn it, that broke his heart. Now he might have somebody who is the European BVZ. This could work, Marcel. You're the one who keeps telling me this is the fight business. How
I
do you make
complete,
money with fights? You get fighters who fans want to follow. This is somebody that fans probably want to follow. So again,
brother,
yes,
brother. I completely disagree with you that she's hot or anything, you know. So,
for
they,
MMA standards, yes.
yeah, maybe to you, but to me, she's not. So I don't see I don't see the resemblance over here. You know what I mean? So um, that's maybe why there's confusion here in this conversation right now about this fight. I don't see that, you know, and I don't think it's a favorable matchup for Sigula at all. To be honest, you know, because I don't rate Sigula pretty high. I think she's decent, but I don't think she's amazing or anything, you know. So I think there is where the confusion is here with me that you said Dana White privilege. I don't see it, but maybe it is. You know, we'll see. But I don't think if she has that, they should have matched her up with somebody else who doesn't have knockout power. I think.
Well, as you said, it's tough to find because, well, there's not many people here that you can sort of hide people with. So what do? You bring her up against somebody who gets finished a lot. I mean, that's a different story, different day. But final topic before we let you go, that is a guy we thought was going to be pretty good, Patchy Mix. He got cut after two fights, and I was sitting there thinking, like, why? I mean, there's been a lot of fighters who could have been cut who've lost three out of four. Four out of five. In Tuitai Vasa's case, six fights. Are you surprised Mix got cut after two fights and considering the UFC had had their eyes on him for a long time?
Surprised. Maybe because he's probably not on a 10% contract, you know, that's why. But that's the only reason why I would be not surprised. But I feel like he got kind of screwed, man, to be really honest. First fight, yeah, he lost that fight. He didn't look good. Second fight, he didn't look great, but I think he should have won that fight against Weak Klotz. I think I scored a 29-28 for him, you know, so I don't agree with that decision. So it should have been 1-1. Still didn't show greatness in the UFC yet in this first two fights. So I understand. Maybe he has to go to maybe to get the opportunity to fight at Rise, and there's a possibility. I don't know. I think he said the UFC gave him notice that that they were going to release him, so he signed to Rise, and so I'm talking out of my ass. But I don't know, man. I mean, he didn't look great so far in the UFC. Should I give him another chance? Yeah, I would. You know, I definitely would have gave him another chance. Definitely with the second fight in the back of my mind that I thought he did enough to win. But yeah, maybe he can do better at Ryzen. The only thing that will suck for him forever, and not in my opinion, but a lot of people, if he now does well in Ryzen and he gets a title there, people will say, yeah, he's fun, but he wasn't able to cut it in the highest stage of the MMA, you know. So that will always be a part of it. People will keep using that because people love to talk shit on fighters, you know. So they will keep using that probably too, and which fucking sucks for him. But yeah, it is what it is, you know.
Oh, that's all the time we have because this man here is busy as hell with a lot of things going on, including more podcasts. Has a couple fight cards coming up, so we gotta let him go. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, always love having on the show. I give you from Eurosport UFC, Tapology, and also the MMA Oddsbreaker podcast. I give you it's Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, once again, where can fans check you out at? Where is the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube channel, the Rumble channel? Where can fans hit you up at?
Big Marcel 24 on Twitter and Instagram is always still the same. Chris, thank you so much for coming up or for giving me the opportunity again to talk on your podcast. Is always fun to me. You can also check my articles on Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts section, but it's in Dutch. I have the podcast with Adam Martin. It's later today, 7:30 Eastern, about UFC. We're gonna obviously we preview and we recap the UFC cards overall, and we do that every week. So if you guys haven't watched that, definitely give it a chance. If you don't like it, all good. If you like it, amazing. You know. Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me as always, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and looking forward to next time. Thanks.
Pleasure's all mine. Marcel Dorff, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always on a pleasure. Have you on the show. We come back. A lot more going on here only on it's Last Call. Last Call with the Alcohol, only on the Last Call Podcast.com.